Okay, I'm going to generate the terms of a sequence using the trace function. I'm just going to use a linear sequence in this example. So I'm going to generate the terms for 2n minus 3. So I'm going to generate the terms of this function 2n minus 3. So the first thing I'm going to do first is I'm going to set my axes. Okay, so I'm going to right click on a space, white space, right click and go to graphics, and I want the first 10 terms of the sequence. So I just want if I put -1, I'll get to see the y-axis, and then I'm going to put in here 11 to go one more than it is. Now for the y-axis, because it's 2n minus 3, I'm just going to put down -5, just get a good. And then 2 times 10 is 20 minus 3. So in here I'm going to put 20 as well. Alright, so this is a little bit hit and miss. You have to try and work it out beforehand. Now I'm going to hit this being bold. I'm going to change my line style to this is personal preference. And then I'm going to go to the x-axis and change this to being n. And if I press enter, you'll see here a little n appear in the corner here. And then I'm going to go to the y-axis and I'm going to put here TERM, enter, and you'll see up here I now have the axis labelled as term. Now close that. Right, now you can either create, if you're Windows you should try to create the slider first. If you're a Mac it seems to work okay if you create the point first and then it will create the slider automatically. So I'm going to call the point P is equal to n, and because it's 2 times n minus 3. Okay, so just in the bottom corner there, n 2 times n minus 3, and it's a capital P, and then we press enter and it will ask me to create slider for n. So I'm going to create the slider. Now on some Windows machines you need to create the slider first using this button here and call it n, and then put in the point. Create slider. Okay, I'm just going to right click the slider, unfix it, and I'm going to move it a little bit so it's off the axis. Alright, I can change the colour of my slider by right clicking, go to the object properties and colour and change it to green. Okay, if I go back to the basic, slider, this one here, slider, I only want integer values, so I'm going to go from 1, and I want the first 10 terms of the sequence, 10, and then increment needs to go up in whole numbers because n can't be a decimal, and we press enter and we close that up. Alright, now if I move my slider you will see the point P moving across the screen. Okay, the next thing to do is to right click, go to object properties, and we'll change the colour of the point P to the colour that you want, and I'm going to make the style as well. So now it will go across the screen. Now I want it to leave the point as it goes across the screen. The thing to do here is to right click, trace on, and now when I move it across the screen it will generate the points. So because I've set the y-axis appropriately, it will generate all 10 points of the sequence. Okay. Right, I want it to give me the name of the term. Okay, so I'm going to create another formula. I'm going to call it term. I'm going to call it equal to the formula that I used to generate the sequence, which was 2 times n minus 3. Enter. And then you can see here it is at -1. You can see that it's supposed to be -1, and as I move it across, you can see that the term is changing, giving me the terms of the sequence. So when n is 10, I get 17. Right, the next thing I want to do is in my applet is I want it to write down the terms. Okay, so select a text box, select somewhere in the screen, and then I'm going to put when n is equal to n, and now I want the object n now, so it will give me a value. So select object, and you can see in the bottom here is put 1, n is 1, and if I move it, it will move with it, and then comma, term is equal to object term, and it will give me the term of the sequence. I'm just going to put a bit of space in there so it makes it look nice. Okay, press OK. Alright, so now when I move across, it gives me each term in the sequence. Better to make that a little bit bigger. So I'm going with text, medium, bold, and colour. I'm going to make it red so it stands out. Okay, so now I've got the term and the term numbers of the sequence. And if I now want to write down the formula, I'm going to write text again. The formula for this sequence is the term is going to be equal to 2n minus 3. We'll press OK, and then you're going to right click on that, object properties, give it a colour, text, make it stand out, make it bold, and there I've got my formula. Now what would be good if I could get the line to appear as well. Okay, so the line will be f of n, because I've called this function in terms of n, is equal to 2 times n minus 3, enter, and you can see the line appears. Okay, I can format the line, so I can right click. I'm going to want it to be green, but I'm just going to make it a bit thicker to stand out. That's personal taste. Okay, now what would be good if I could get the line to actually appear and disappear. So one last trick here is to do this, is to go to this one here, get a checkbox, put it somewhere, click to reveal line, and then you have to get it to select the right object. So the right object is going to be this one here. So you want it to select the function f, press apply, and then if you click this one here again, and now if you click that, it will appear and disappear the line. Okay, so this has been a video on how to make a GeoGebra app for using the trace function to trace out the first 10 terms of a particular function. Before you upload it, you should close that down because you don't want to see that, and then maybe make it a little bit smaller before uploading it to GeoGebra. Okay, thank you very much.